What is up, guys? Systematic Psycho here, and big apologies for being a little late on an upload. I've been dealing with some health complications that have made it very inconvenient with uploading videos. Being in the hospital and stuff's not very YouTube friendly. But anyways, we are here. Firing from vehicles is now here, and it is awesome. Now all the vehicles you see in front of you are the vehicles that are the ones you can shoot out of, and it's pretty awesome. So nothing else you can shoot out of as of right now, but I just say keep an eye on the dev branch changelog if you want to see if anything else is added. But initial release, this is our variety, which is not too bad. We got all the major transports here. We got a few helicopters, an off-road, and a boat. I mean, who freaking knew that they'd shoot off a boat? So yeah, we're going to just go ahead and go over some of the positions in the seats and what they've changed as far as firing from vehicles, and then I'll just highlight a few other things that have been in this the dev branch right now that are not quite released yet because of the helicopters DLC or whatever. But yeah, so just before you freak out, this is a Robert Hammers M4, and this is a non-vanilla uniform from TFA. I know I generally don't run mods when I do these kind of things, but I did now. For all the transports, it's relatively the same, so we'll just go through a couple of these to show you. If you go up to the HEMT, or HEMT, whatever you want to call it, you go to it'll give you an option. Instead of riding in back, you get cargo left, bench rear, or cargo right, bench rear. So you get left or right depending on where you're standing, which is awesome because you get a little bit of a choice to where to sit, and it just doesn't throw you in a seat. So we'll go ahead and set in it. So it doesn't look too different except for the fact that your field of view is limited here. You can't really turn too much. So now if you left click, maybe if you right click, no. A little broken here, so there we go. We got this, and then we can go back to the M16. And the M16 is now out. We can aim down sights there, and we can fire at stuff that is in the distance. We can even fire 203 if we'd like. So I'm gonna go ahead and load one of those. And then a little bit weird on the sight picture here, but still works, kind of. Not that you'd be firing effectively any accurate 203 from the back of a vehicle, so any shot would be lucky, but yeah, adds a little bit of defensive capabilities, and we can actually just slide over to the right seat here, and my gun comes out like it should. A little weird. And then we can even fire our Glock 19. Also Robert Hammers. So, yeah, and we can now access the inventory from inside of a vehicle, so we can grab first aid kits and be super healthy. So whatever vehicle you're in, even if you're, I think, in the pilot seats of a helicopter, you can grab some of the gear that's outside of it. So same deal with this, rear, right, and left. So we'll just, to demonstrate, we'll go over to the Op 4-1, go to the rear, should be the right, and we can fire from it, just as we would, and then we can slide over to the left bench and do the same deal. We can also check the inventory, health kits, or med kits, and same deal here. So next, we have the off-road, which the off-road seems a little more defensible now, especially with the ability to actually have 4 different slots or 4 different places to sit and actually shoot out of. The driver stays the same and the passenger seat stays the same, but you can do rear left, rear right, front left, and front right. So just show you the positions here. Front right, you get kind of a good field of view, so you can pretty much aim most directions. So it's actually it's probably the first pick if you want to sit in a vehicle and you want to fire in any direction. This is probably the best place to go, and you get a decent bit of cover if the truck for some reason has the tailgate. Yeah, but weird thing is a little bit of clipping here, not a big deal. You can't actually switch seats from the off-road. I don't know if that's a bug or it's intentional. Access the inventory, and then we can check the rear right to see. Now we don't have as much of a field of view. We have more of like a 180 here. Then you can cover out all these directions and fire and shoot stuff. And let's see, we'll check rear to left, see if the field of view is any different. So yeah, same deal, pretty much a 180, and you can engage stuff out of that. So that's pretty awesome. Next up, we have a helicopter. I know a lot of people waiting for these. Unfortunately, you cannot do it in the unarmed version of this because the doors are closed, and I guess they haven't implemented that yet, or if they will at all. I'm sure they will. But you can go up to the left bench here. My biggest complaint is this helicopter because you have a very limited field of view. You can only kind of fire defensively more towards the back of you, and you're not really able to fire over this, which I don't like at all. So hopefully they'll either update that. I really wouldn't like to see this stay the same, but it's the same deal on the other side. Also inventory, so we can actually grab a rifle. We have the F2000 now. Grab my M16 back. We have my M16. I think I dropped all my mags as well. Grab a couple of those and get out. So yeah, same deal on the other side, and no reason to show you that. Little bird, very nice. You have 4 seats, 2 on each side on the bench that you can fire from. You cannot fire from the back, so you ride in back and you'll sit in the back seats. You can get out. Ignore that fast throw thing. Another freaking mod. So we can sit on the left bench and fire out once we get our. There we go. So we get our gun out and you can fire at whatever you want, even the bunnies off in the distance that, for some reason, exist in virtual reality. But yeah, so you get a nice field of view here, a little more than a 180, I think, just a tiny bit more. You get you can aim down pretty far. So if you've ever wanted to do that badass SWAT sniper thing where you'd sit in the helicopter and you freaking nail somebody inside of a building somewhere in a dense urban area, then you could do that now. But yeah, so left bench rear, left bench front, so just sit you up front here. So yeah, you can have a serious fire team on this helicopter lighting stuff up while you go into land, so it makes you a little more defensible and not helpless little bird, since they don't give you flares for some reason with the vanilla little birds. And then last but not least, the assault boat. Who hasn't wanted this their whole life? You know, assault boats that you can shoot from with your guns. So yeah, you get where the hell am I sitting? Oh yeah, up at the very front. So we get a pretty limited field of view, but if you're at the front, you're going to be probably looking front, covering the front sector. No ability to actually check the gear. I don't know if these things actually have gear, and can't switch seats in this once again. I don't know, maybe they'll change that, maybe they won't. But yeah, you can fire front, cover the beach that you're landing on or whatever you're doing. We can go to the right side, which gives you more or less of a front coverage. You can get a little bit more off to the right, I think, than the wow, this looks very uncomfortable. So yeah, you get more of a right side coverage, but generally all facing forward. Now, is what I really want to do is I want to have 3-4 guys on this thing with MGs just dumping rounds forward as you go to land on the beach. Wouldn't that be awesome? But yeah, that's pretty much it as far as being able to fire from vehicles. This is pretty awesome, and I think this is going to change the gameplay. Maybe not a whole lot, but a decent bit to make some pretty interesting stuff. So I'd clearly just stick to the YouTubes and see what some people upload. And I've had a pretty interesting thing that happened. I was testing it out yesterday. We were doing what we called jousting with 50 cals and off-roads. And yeah, this happened.
Good luck. You ready? Now.
Absolutely beautiful, I know, right? But yeah, another thing, just a quick highlight of things in this this dev build update. Since we've already gotten to the meat and taters of the vehicle stuff, that's probably why you clicked on the damn video, because I uber clickbaited it or something. Also, RotorLib has been integrated, so if you don't know what RotorLib is, it just makes helicopters much more realistic to fly. It's a huge improvement over what the helicopter flight models are now. If you think you're a beast pilot in Arma now, you're probably not once RotorLib hits you in your face. We can go, actually no controls, we can go to game, and you can see I have mine on pretty much hard mode, except for the gauges enabled, but I don't see any reason to have the gauges disabled since they're not fully functional in the cockpits of the helicopters. You don't get all the information you need, so I leave gauges on. But you put your helicopter flight model to advanced, you have standard and advanced. You go to show gauges enabled, rough landing disabled, wind effects enabled, auto trim disabled, stress damage enabled if you want hard mode. Auto trim, I'd recommend turning on if you're flying with keyboard and mouse, but you still want some of that RotorLib and some of that little bit of difficult flying functionality. But that really, auto trim makes it sort of easy mode, but it's still a little more difficult than the standard flight model, but you still get all the weird flight model effect things. So we're just going to go and hop in as pilot here. So right away you hear the squeakiness from the frame flexing. I'd imagine the landing gear flexing a bit, but yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and now by throttling up, as you see the little gauge there, that does not turn on the engine anymore. So now you can force yourself into wrong button. Force yourself into an auto rotation by just turning the engine off and not being able to turn it back on. So engine on. Here we go. So you see it start up. We wait till our RPM is not red anymore, and then wait a few seconds actually after that. Make sure it's fully spooled up. and then we can go and just take it for a quick flight. Now, it's very hard to fly in the virtual reality map because you have no points of reference. You really have to keep your eyes on your gauges, but I'll probably most likely end up crashing anyway. So, go ahead and set it up. I'm flying with the Cytec X55 right now, so it's pretty solid HOTAS, and makes flying in Arma really nice. So right away I have to counter torque, because if I don't counter the torque, I'm going to go ahead and level it out. My helicopter's actually not spinning too much. Let's see, I'm letting go of the flight stick completely. It's centered, and as you can see, it's already doing stuff on its own. And I'm going to go ahead and throttle up all the way. I stall out the prop, I increase the torque, and I just screw up the helicopter altogether. So, yeah, the flight model just has some pretty interesting stuff. I'm not going to try to comment too much on it while I'm not super familiar with helicopters. But I think it's very interesting, and I will definitely be flying with the enhanced or the Rotolib flight model, which it adds a bit of immersion. Because if I'm going to play a sim, I'm going to be playing a sim for a sim, not a sim for an arcade shooter, like Bohemia wants us to think. Cough. So coming down for the landing here might be a little rough, but there's like nothing to look at, so you don't know how close you are. But as you notice, there's a little bit of squeakiness to the ground, so I'm actually just go ahead and slide it around here. Actually, you can do like rolling landings now, so I got a little bit of speed. You hear all these nice dragging effects. So they've added a ton of sound effects to landing and stuff. As you notice, the landing gear has a little bit of give, so I can just probably drop it down for right here. You see it has a little bit of a bounce. Probably want to avoid landing as hard as possible anyway, but it gives you a little more of a leeway as far as landing here. Also, there's the hook, so there's the lifting ability with helicopters. I don't know that I'll be able to lift anything else up, but see if I hit the hook. Okay. Maybe I'm too high from the ground. There we go. So, oh shit, come on. Let's see if I can get it. Alright, just gonna go put. Oh god, I'm gonna die. Nope, I'm alive. Alright, I'm just gonna land it here because I'm gonna kill myself. It's very hard to manipulate a mouse and fly, but I killed my anti-torque. If you notice, my torque rotor is actually completely gone. We had a nice little sound to, you know, show that. So I'm gonna go and just do a full takeoff here. You see my helicopter's just already freaking out. So never fly like that. But now you can actually force an auto rotation upon yourself and save yourself from a tailspin. I know some of the YouTubers out there will tell you to, you know, just put it forward and your spin will stop. That's not realistic, and that's not how you do it. Throw the engine off. You notice my spin, well, since I didn't really try to correct it and I had no more forward momentum, you know, your spin will stop and your helicopter becomes much more controllable. And I just plummeted like a turd because I fail. Anyways, yes, the flight model has been improved. They've changed some things. There's lots of weird sounds. But yeah, all in all, it's a pretty awesome update. I'm really looking forward to the Helicopters DLC. We've already seen the Ghost Stealth Chinook, so it's just pretty awesome. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this utter failure in this review of the wonderful firing from vehicles and stuff. Peace out, guys.